And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, roll, Atlantis.
Water towers, fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Flighting down to SC off. Bring in SC off. Off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
The methane would be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? We don't need any more of these.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another NSF live stream from right here on the Space Coast of Florida. You are currently taking a live look over at Space Launch Complex 40, where SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket is poised and hopefully ready to launch the Starlink 10-30 mission in just over 30 minutes' time. Seeing a bunch of 5x5s in chat, y'all. Despite the weather that has plagued us this evening, I would say we are off to an all-right start this morning. My name is Max Evans. I am a spaceflight photographer here at NSF, and I will be your host for this morning's stream. As normal, I will not be by myself. I am also going to be joined on commentary today by the one and only Ryan Weber. Ryan, how's it going?
It's going. It is morning already, isn't it? Even here, it's 2:25 in Minnesota. So yeah, just sitting here waiting, watching storms go by. You know, it's one of those. How's it going, everyone?
Yeah, it sure does go, and it sure does flow, and there has been a lot of water flowing here at the Kennedy Space Center here tonight. But also out in the field for us tonight, bringing us as many camera feeds as we can get, is D Wise. I'm not sure if D is going to be on commentary, because there is quite a bit more camera work to do, because we had quite a late start, and we will get into that in a little bit. But first, I want to remind y'all that if you have any questions in chat, please feel free to tag us at NASA Spaceflight, and we will get to your questions as we can. So, first and foremost, Ryan, what are we seeing over at Slick 40, and what is Falcon 9 going to be launching?
Well, just to start off, we already got frost.
Yes,
because we had to start a little bit later. Obviously, so we're already into propellant load. RP1 currently going in, and we're going into LOX chill down shortly. We'll have that 20-minute vent here in about to 11 minutes or so. So yeah, we're starting a little later, but yeah, SpaceX is launching Starlink 10-30 booster. What is it? 1080-21. And what we got 28 Starlink V2 minis on this flight. So one of those late night Starlinks as per usual.
As per usual, and about 28 Starlink V2 minis is about the normal payload for the Group 10 missions, which are traveling northeast, compared to the Group 6 and the Group 12 shells that were flying for a while, that were launching anywhere from 22 to 25 satellites at times heading southeast. So Falcon 9 will be heading off on a 53.16 degree orbital inclination tonight, which is northeast. So if you are anywhere along the coast of the Carolinas, Virginia, or even up to Pennsylvania and New York, depending on the time of the morning, you may have a view of Falcon 9's second stage as it ascends into orbit, which is always a neat treat to see in the night sky. But of course, I think before we get too much farther into this, we should also talk about why we were so late in going live today, and that is because it has been storming rather strongly here, basically all late into the night and early this morning, with both Phase 1 and Phase 2 lightning warnings pretty much plaguing both the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station and the KSC alike. And I'm not going to lie, The storms did get pretty intense here, and there were an abundant amount of lightning strikes, very local here to us here at the press site. Both Dee and I had to relocate up into the hut here to take cover because it was getting a little bit scary. But the winds were blowing, a bunch of low clouds, lots of lightning, lots of thunder, and a ton of rainfall as well. And I think, as anyone could probably surmise, those are suboptimal conditions to be launching a rocket in, especially when you are under a Phase 2 lightning warning. And launching or fueling a rocket even during a Phase 2 lightning warning with the potential of lightning striking your rocket or your surrounding infrastructure is, I guess, a recipe for a not so good day ahead. So, but at this point, both Phase 2 and, well, I shouldn't say both, but at least Phase 2 has been cleared from both the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station and the Kennedy Space Center, as is evident by Falcon 9 now going into propellant load for this morning's mission. So things are, I guess, progressing in the right direction, and rather rapidly so, because about an hour ago, a bunch of us were actually pretty convinced that tonight was not looking great and Falcon 9 may not be getting off the ground. But alas, it looks like SpaceX is going to be trying anyway, as is the SpaceX way. And honestly, knowing them, I believe, especially with how the weather has cleared, it looks like Falcon 9 has a decent chance of getting off to orbit this morning. But also in the meantime, while we have a moment, I also want to hit on the recovery assets that are stationed about 600 or so kilometers northeast off of the east coast of Florida, and those would be with the recovery vessels, at least with the drone ship. Just read the instructions, is stationed about 600 kilometers downrange, and of course the ferrying recovery ship Bob is stationed around about an additional 100 kilometers farther downrange, to be picking up those fairings after fairing separation and hopefully after a successful re-entry following that phase of flight. So, yes, as Ryan said earlier, this is booster B1080, and tonight's mission will be hopefully its 21st successful flight, having flown about 39 days ago, which seems like kind of a longer-ish turnaround for boosters nowadays. But honestly, the fact that they are able to fly a first stage orbital class booster 20 times successfully is still a marvel in itself. It's incredible. And its flight history includes the like of, at least for customer missions, AX-2, the Euclid telescope for ESA, AX-3, CRS-30, SES-24, and NG-21, and then also 14 previous Starlink missions. And B1080 is also the 8th Falcon 9 booster either at or above the 20 flight milestone. And as the Falcon 9 fleet continues to fly, we are going to hopefully see a number of Falcon 9 boosters climbing further and further into the 20s, with the current fleet leader, B1067, now at 29 flights. So its next flight will be its 30th, and that will be a record-breaking number for Falcon 9 and reusable rockets as a whole. Not quite up to where the Space Shuttle was over its lifespan, but we are getting pretty close, at least in terms of launches had. All right, let's get to a couple of questions now. Let's see here from Blender, asking, has there been a lightning strike on a rocket before? And also, what is an S-tier commander for a zombie deck, if you know of any? Can't say I understand the latter half of your question, but Ryan, has there been any previous lightning strikes on rockets before, either on the pad or in flight?
Well, this is a very famous one, Apollo 12.
I was hoping you were going to say it.
SCE Ox. On ascent, Apollo 12 got struck by lightning. They had some electrical issues. They had to switch SEC to Ox to kind of correct some of the problems they were running into, and kept going on the flight. And as we know, Apollo 12 eventually landed on the moon. So, I mean, rockets can survive lightning strikes like planes can. It's just not ideal to get hit with 20,000 some odd amps. It's not ideal for that to happen. You generally don't want that, but you do design your systems to be able to take it if such an event were to occur. So they try to avoid it as much as they can. That's why they don't fly into weather or anything on rockets. Because if you did get hit with a lightning strike, there's always that chance of it disrupts systems, or even if it hits in the wrong spot, it could cause the whole rocket to go. If it's powerful enough. But they just try to avoid it.
Yeah, I think there also have been a couple of lightning strikes with shuttle on the launch pad back in the early days, when I guess I don't want to say safety wasn't on the minds of those in charge, but certainly their minds were a lot heavier on the flight schedule. So I believe there was a couple. I can't remember which flights they were exactly or which orbiters were involved, but it is not an uncommon occurrence here, especially in the summer, to have a lightning strike on any of your towers or any surrounding buildings or anything around your launch pad at this time of year. And that is why you see especially around Slick 40 there, you can see it on both the right and left hand side of the rocket, and you can also see it at Slick 41, you can see it at LC39B, and you could also see it on Slick 37 before it was demoed in preparation for Starship, and also before I forget, it's also on Slick 36 with New Glenn, and that is these lightning towers that have these catenary wires that travel in between them, and essentially what those towers do is that they are obviously much higher than the rocket is above the ground, and therefore enticing the lightning to strike them as opposed to the rocket or its immediate supporting tower. And then those catenary wires will discharge the all the voltage and the wattage back into the ground and away from anything that it could cause any damage towards. They have certainly come in mega use tonight, as we have seen them striking a lot. I mean, D and I were in the hut earlier just by the windows, and there were strikes literally probably every 5 to 10 seconds, anywhere from beyond the VAB up towards Mobile Launcher 2 and going all the way down towards Slick 40, and we couldn't even see any farther south than that. The weather has been pretty bad tonight, but it has cleared up pretty quickly, and I think weather is also going to be a great topic to discuss with this next question. So it looks like, from Tom Ray, forgive me, it also looks like it looks like another end of the window launch. Any idea as to what the delay has been due to? Tropical Storm Dexter making rough seas in the booster recovery zone. I'm sure it was a combination of factors, but I think initially here it was the weather immediately surrounding the launch area. Falcon 9. I think that if anybody was watching Space Coast Live earlier, you would know exactly what we're all talking about, because as we have said many times already, the weather has been suboptimal tonight with rainfall and a severe amount of lightning all around the KSC, and strikes all over the place. And that is, of course, not anything you want around a fully fueled rocket ready for flight. But I'm sure there is also systems of weather up in that area south of the Carolinas. And actually, Ryan, we were checking out some buoy data before we went live, and it looked like earlier in the evening the swells or the wave height was at what? Was it 10 or 11 feet?
It was like, I think the highest I saw was 8.9 on the wave height on one of the buoys sitting out in the Atlantic air, southeast of the Carolinas.
Yeah, and that's still 8 to 9 feet is still really rough weather to be landing a first stage booster in. And if SpaceX does opt to try that and they happen to catch a wave at the wrong time, you can end up with what happened to booster 1069 on its very first flight, where it came down really hard and damaged a lot of its engines, and we weren't exactly sure if it was going to get used again. But almost right on cue, right here at T-minus 20 minutes and 20 seconds, we are seeing a vent now coming out of the transporter erector, or TE. Ryan, would you mind explaining what this chill down is? Well, I guess I just explained it what it was. What this vent is, and where we are in the countdown in terms of milestones.
Yeah, so SpaceX does this vent. It's basically dumping liquid oxygen or gas. At this point, it's usually gaseous oxygen overboard. It turns into it turns into more dumping liquid oxygen out as they chill down the lines on the transporter erector to the second stage. They do this to precondition the lines before fueling the second stage. And then I know people always ask, well, what happens to the tanks in the vehicle? Well, they have pre-press gas, which is colder than ambient air. So they basically pump the gas in to pressurize the tanks and also chill the tanks down so that when the liquid goes in, it doesn't fully shock cool the tanks and fracture them. So that's what the 20-minute event is. It's literally just chilling down lines with liquid oxygen.
Indeed. And once that wraps up at about T-minus 16 and a half minutes or so, that is our visual indicator that stage 2 liquid oxygen, load is underway. So at this point, things seem to be progressing smoothly, and SpaceX seems rather optimistic in terms of getting Falcon 9 off of the ground tonight, which would be a very pleasant surprise, I guess, to all of us on the ground. And I say that because forgive me if I butcher the pronunciation of your name, but Sukner is asking, what was the weather forecast for tonight from the range? Carson, I'm not sure if we have that asset. Actually, we do, apparently. Here we go. As you can see, there was only a forecasted 15% chance of any sort of weather violations, with the primary concerns being the cumulus cloud rule and the anvil cloud rules. And those go along with what we were saying earlier with lightning in close proximity to Falcon 9, or there being the chance of Falcon 9 creating its own lightning by flying through these clouds. But as we have talked about numerous times already, the weather really opened up on us today, and it made that 15% probability of violation seem like it should have been like 80 or 90%. But because this storm was brewing rather early in the evening around I think it was right before sunset here on the Space Coast of Florida. I got to the Space Center today around, I think it was 8:30 or 9 o'clock. And it was pretty much on my heels as I was driving in through the gates. And as we saw, that first wave of storms was rather weird because it just completely fell apart, and we never even got wet here. And then some other storms began to brew over the Titusville, Port St. John, and Cocoa areas, which are towns in very close proximity to the Space Center as a whole. And those are what came over and ended up turning into a big old mess for both us here at the team, and I'm sure all the people involved with trying to get Falcon 9 launched tonight. So, weather was supposed to be looking good, but as it happened, it certainly did not look. It seemed like the forecast should have called for a much higher chance of weather violation than it did. But alas, that is Central Florida weather, especially here whenever it begins to storm in the middle of the night, because the convections with the air temperature coming off of the ground vary a lot more differently than they would during the day, with the ground being a lot cooler at night. Generally speaking, of course, than compared to the daytime, especially around in the past couple of weeks where it has been scorching here in Central Florida. I think it has to be said, where the average temperature has been in the 90s. So it's been a rather interesting couple of weeks, and this certainly seems like the cherry on top of the cake in terms of weather, at least. All right, I'm going to hit some support really quickly while I can. First, from Susan Coffey, becoming a Pad Rat member. Thank you, Susan. And also, oh, goodness gracious, forgive me. Shazbert, becoming with a $5 super chat, actually. Y'all, let's blow up those likes for the stream. Yes, absolutely. Y'all, it is, of course, another late night Starlink mission, and we would greatly appreciate y'all telling your friends, telling your family, even though they might be sleeping at this hour. But of course, a lot of our viewers are not only in the US, and they are from all over the globe. And of course, with the difference in time change, maybe you're awake during this, and hopefully you are, because there is certainly a lot to look forward to with Falcon 9 hopefully getting off the ground in just under 15 minutes from now. Okay, Ryan, before we get any farther into the countdown, I want to talk about a topic here that I'm sure is on many of people's minds here tonight. Starship Flight 10. As we have seen, Ship 37 has just recently completed both a single engine static fire and its 6 engine static fire testing on the launch mount over at Pad 1. So those seemed successful since SpaceX posted about both tests rather quickly after they happened, and Ship 37 has already been rolled back to the production site. So do you believe a launch in mid-August is in the cards, or in August in general? And if so, what do you think is going to happen, and what do you think, what objectives or milestones could SpaceX be targeting?
I think they'll do mid-August. I mean, anyone who's been watching SBL here will notice that the Star Stool has already been taken out of the mount and has already been rolled back to Sanchez. So it's already out and out of the launch site. They're already removing most of the pipes for the ship QD that they came up with, the MacGyver ship QD, and it looks like they're cutting the truss sections off of the booster QD hood. So I'd give it about a week and a half for them to get that thing ready. There's a possibility we could have a booster on the pad within the next week and a half. It's entirely possible, but we'll see how long it takes them to do all the clamps that they have to do. And in terms of Flight 10, I think they'll try again to do the whole deploy Starlink dummies. They'll relight test, try to get a successful reentry. Catching the booster, I know Shana Diaz had talked that they were going to catch 16, but considering that they're not flying that was back when they were going to fly 36, 37, and 38, and 16 probably would have flown 38 on its reflight, using 17 as the backup booster in case they couldn't catch 16 or something. But with the fact that there's 2 flights left out of Pad A and there's 3 boosters left, I don't know if they'll catch it. It's a big question mark. I kind of want them to, just to be the last catch on Pad A, because I don't think they're catching 15, but we'll see.
Wouldn't that it would be incredible if they did, and we obviously saw what happened with Booster 14 on its second flight, in that they tried a much more aggressive reentry profile compared to boosters of the past, and we saw how that went for it right at engine ignition. But I would like to see them try to catch a reflown booster before the Block 2 era is done for booster and ship. I'm sure teams could use the morale boost, and I'm sure there might be some useful data in there to be looking over. But man, I really hope so. I also really hope it goes well just for everybody on the team. The SpaceX teams in Starbase in general could use a break in terms of Block 2 working properly as it should, especially the team that has been working on the TPS, or the thermal protection system, as they really have not had much of a chance to tackle any really useful data yet, unfortunately. But I'm sure that is going to be coming soon, and SpaceX is going to be getting back on track with Starship. Hopefully by the end of the year. I can really honestly only see them flying 2 more times with the 2 remaining version 2 ships before they go into a complete revamp of all hardware around the launch site, in the production site, to get ready for V3, and also to get ready for Florida Starship operations. As some of you may know, if you have watched our recent flyover, I shouldn't say recent because it was a few weeks ago already, but our latest flyover video where we flew over both, I shouldn't say we flew over, we flew up and around both the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station and the Kennedy Space Center to have a look at what was going on. And we had a great look over at Hangar X, and as many of you know, there is a Starship facility under construction still over at LC-39A, and the launch mount for that is currently being built over at Hangar X. And these designs of launch mount can only support Block 3 hardware, both for booster and for ships. So it's about 4 or 5 months compared to where the launch mount is for Pad 2 in Starbase. So we should hopefully see it roll out to LC-39A maybe within the next month and a half, 2 months, if all goes well. Potentially sooner. We don't know. Hopefully sooner than later. Ryan, you have something to say?
It'll be a little bit before we see that thing roll out. I think they'll roll it out to the pad by the end of the year. Is the hope. But they still have. I've seen some updated imagery here and there. They haven't really started on building the walls yet, or get the flame deflector set up yet in there, and that takes a significant amount of time to build up the walls and then pour them, as well as pouring the floor and the ramps. I don't think it'll be. I think the old M will probably be ready to roll out before the pad is ready for it, but. We'll see.
You know what else is ready to roll to? Oh my god! I completely butchered that transition. Oh my goodness!
Wow, that was
oh
bad.
my god! I completely butchered it. But you know what else is ready to roll out is Carson.
Dear Lord.
Oh, I thought we were going to be plugging the summer collection, which is our Hawaiian shirts and shorts. But I guess. I was a bit blindsided by this. So this is an image that I took earlier this evening, not long after I got here to get set up for the mission tonight. This was a big old bolt of lightning striking right behind the VAB, and this is honestly a bucket list shot that I have been trying to get for a number of years now. And tonight just so happened to be the night everything came into play. And all of the photons met my sensor at just the right time. And it is now available in our store both as paper and metal prints in all sorts of shapes and sizes. And the best parts of any of our prints, both metal and print of any in our store, is that a portion of the sale goes directly towards the photographer that took the photo. So it is one of the best ways to support us as a team and the actual individuals who took that image in particular, and this is what helps to keep us going, helps keep the lights on, and helps keep our coverage coming both here in Florida as well as in Starbase, Texas. So, Carson, thank you very much for having this pulled up and ready to go. This was certainly a dream come true to catch this image when we could before we all got poured on. It has certainly been a long night for us here at the press site, and I'm sure D is feeling it as well. But we are ready to see Falcon 9 get off the ground in just over 7 minutes. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Okay, Ryan, where are we exactly in the countdown now, and what can we expect in the next 3 to 4 minutes?
Well, we just entered into Falcon 9 first stage engine chill. So they are preconditioning the Merlin engines before ignition and before launch. And they do this so you don't shock cool it with putting a ton, literally tons of propellant through them at a high rate. So that's what they're doing right now. Then in about 3 minutes or so, we're gonna have stage 1 LOX load complete. And then coming up at about even 5 minutes, because we're getting kind of close to here. We're gonna get into Falcon 9 startup, as well as pre-launch checks and pressurization of the tanks are gonna happen. And that's when the Falcon 9 takes control. And at 45 seconds, we get launch director verifies go for launch. And of course, engine ignition and liftoff. So we're getting pretty close here. It's kind of weird with how late everything was started, but exigent. I don't know can't think how to say that word. Weird circumstances. We'll go with that. My brain's not working.
Is it weird because this to me seems so on brand for these late night Starlinks that have become ever so prevalent here.
They do be hitting different.
They do be hitting different, and they have certainly been hitting a certain way here tonight. What were you gonna say?
Wait for Starship.
Oh God! See, you say that, but whenever somebody brings up the topic of Starship launching from Florida, both D and I just get so freaking excited, man. We have been waiting years for this, and I can't even put words to it right now. It's go ahead.
These have become to me, the Starlinks have become routine, really. I used to watch just about every single SpaceX launch. I don't anymore. I don't. I mean, most of the time I'm working because they launch these things in the middle of the night, and I'm working in the middle of the night, so I don't watch them. I never really have the chance to do it. That streak was broken long ago. But it's one of those things. It's like, oh, if they start launching, once they start launching Starlink starships and tanker starships, it's like, all right, you're gonna have the most powerful rocket lift off from the Cape. They're gonna catch the booster, deploy or do its mission, and then come back, and the ship's gonna get caught on another tower. That's like that'll become normal eventually.
Eventually. But it took Falcon 9 a long time to get there, and we are at nearly 100 flights here just in 2025 alone from SpaceX. It took Falcon 9 a long time to get to a point where it seems routine, but as we know, especially from what happened to it last year on a few occasions, spaceflight is not routine, nor will it ever really become routine in the sense that we can just look at it and almost toss the factor of safety off to the side because we're so confident that it'll work. That's not how it rolls, and of course SpaceX takes that very seriously, especially with their workhorse Falcon 9 rocket, which is currently poised, as you can see over at Slick 40, hoping to get these 28 Starlink V2 mini satellites off to orbit this evening. And it is mighty venty, as you can see. I'm sure it must be, I haven't actually checked the data on it. It must be somewhere between 85% and 95% humidity right now. And you can really see that based on how much just venting or condensation you can see is coming off of both stages on Falcon 9, both from the RP1 and locked on the first stage and stage 2. And there is not much in the way of wind either, because a lot of that
Stage
venting
1 lock load is
or
complete.
hearing stage 1 locks load complete, hearing callouts, everything is progressing as they should. But there's not much in the way of wind. The air seems pretty stagnant as the vapor coming off of the tanks is pretty much just borderline falling straight down, maybe just coasting off to the side. There might be a bit of a breeze out there, which I'm sure might be appreciated for those out in the field tonight. But it certainly is going to be a sticky one in terms of how thick the air is with moisture this evening. But that means as also that the sound from all 9 Merlin 1D engines should be a lot more punchy, and hopefully we will be able to hear that on our microphones as well. Coming up on just over T-minus 2 minutes until liftoff, hopefully we should be hearing maybe a couple more callouts here from SpaceX Mission Control. Propellant load on Falcon 9 should be wrapping up here shortly if it hasn't already. And we are just about over
Stage
50
2 lock
seconds.
load is complete.
There we go. Right on cue. Stage 2 locks load complete. And we are just about 45 seconds away from hopefully a call out of Falcon 9 going into startup or internal power, where Falcon 9 is completely on its own and can handle itself for the rest of the countdown. About T-minus 90 seconds away. Ryan, I think we've earned this. I think it's time. It's time.
Just go.
Go.
just lift off. Just go.
Just go. Keon, get. Go. Get.
Go on.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Get going. All right. Just over 1 minute and 10 seconds now. We're about 10 seconds away or so from the call out from SpaceX Mission Control that Falcon 9 is in startup. I will go silent here for a few seconds so we can hear that call out.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Good call out. Falcon 9 is in startup and internal power. Things are progressing well. In a few seconds, we should also hear from the SpaceX launch director that SpaceX is go for launch.
Go for launch.
They're right on cue. There we go. Everything progressing as they should. Falcon 9 is wearing a full coat of ice and vapor on this very humid Florida morning here, just before 4 a.m. here local time on the east coast of Florida. T-minus 25 seconds and counting. We can see cameras getting ready. Falcon 9 is ready to light up the night sky after a bunch of lightning has already done so. Coming up on T-minus 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have an ignition, and we have liftoff. Go Falcon, go Starlink. about 1 minute and 15 seconds into flight. Falcon 9 at this point should be passing the point of max Q, or the moment of maximum aerodynamic pressure on its overall structures. Falcon 9 continuing upwards. Building shaking here at KSE, just as I thought they might with the super thick Florida air tonight. And as Falcon 9 continues to ascend into the upper parts of the atmosphere, we will begin to see, as we are already seeing, Falcon 9's exhaust plume changing in shape, length, and color. And that is due to the drop of ambient pressure around all 9 Merlin 1D engines, thus allowing the exhaust plume to behave in many different ways. And just in a few seconds, we will begin to see the plume begin to change from its current color orange to a darker red, and then into a blue not long before MECO, or main engine cutoff, before stage separation. You can already see it's red, and there we go, right into that beautiful blue color. Looks almost like a flower. It's beautiful. And coming up there, we have MECO. Looking for a good engine ignition on the MVAC. There we go.
Ooh, just a pop ignition.
The MVAC, or Merlin vacuum engine, on Falcon 9's upper stage igniting successfully, and you can see the lights on Florida's east coast there in the background of the booster camera, which obviously we can't see right now. Hopefully, here we go. On the very back of the booster there, you see those lights are the residential and city lights of Florida on the east coast and central coast, or central coast. Wow, no, there is no central coast.
You okay
Central coast
tonight? Like,
you what?
You okay?
It's 4:00 in the morning. We've been here for a while. It's okay. It's fine. It's brain rot at this hour is fine.
The Wyoming coast, right?
The Wyoming coast, yes.
Yeah,
I think we can all say definitively that was still funnier. But even though
that was definitely funnier.
But brain is still mush right now, so forgive me. But as you can see from this camera, the exhaust from the singular MVAC engine on Falcon 9's upper stage is continuing to expand in the lower near vacuum pressures there at its current altitude, looking almost like a flower or a sort of jellyfish, but not quite, because there's no sunlight or moonlight to reflect or light up the exhaust particulates. But still, we can still see the glow from the actual nozzle itself. And that is what D is currently tracking. And at this point, Falcon 9's first stage booster is continuing to reorient itself via its RCS, or reaction control system thrusters, on the interstage to prepare itself for atmospheric re-entry. And as you saw from the onboard cameras as well, the 4 grid fins just below the interstage on Falcon 9 have also unfolded in preparation for atmospheric entry. Although at this point in flight, because it is still in near vacuum, those grid fins don't really serve much of a purpose, and most of its orientation is down to the RCS thrusters. The MVAC nozzle glowing away beautifully, as it always does, continuing to just haul the mail already at 145 kilometers in altitude. And as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, the telemetry in the altitude on Falcon 9's first stage, it is now descending. So it has already approached its maximum altitude, or apogee, and is now continuing to descend now in altitude. And as a result, it is now working with gravity, and we can see its speed building up just a little bit now as it begins to fall, begin back towards the atmosphere. We are nearing the point where we have entry burn on the first stage, which is where Falcon 9 will light up 3 of its 9 engines in a sequence of 1 and then 3. It'll be engine number 1, engine number 5, and engine number 9. First with E1, which is right in the center, and then 2 off to the side. And we can see that visually based on the shape of the exhaust plume going from a more uniform shape then to a line, a more direct line across the booster. So we should be coming up on that in just a few seconds. Any second now. RCS thrusters puffing away there. And there we go. Engine ignition. There's one engine, and now we have 3 engines.
It's always cool to see supersonic retro propulsion.
Fire with fire. Still on 3 engines, back down to 1, and we have engine shutdown. And we have a good call out from SpaceX Mission Control. And as we can see now, we may see a bit of plasma, on cue, some plasma building up on the titanium grid fins on Falcon 9's first stage, which is normal because of the speeds that it is now plunging through the now becoming thicker parts of. Wow, look at that! On the right-hand side grid fin, that is all plasma. And you can now see its speed and velocity now beginning to drop significantly as it is now in the thicker parts of Earth's atmosphere. Losing comms there for a little bit. That is normal for this point in flight where there is a lot of plasma over the vehicle. We should see the drone ship just read the instructions begin to appear. So that light on the left-hand side of your screen on the left-hand feed. That is the surface lights from the drone ship just read the instructions, which is where booster 1080 is targeting to land here in just a few moments. We should be seeing a single engine landing burn in any second now.
H1 landing burn.
There we go. We have engine ignition. Velocity continuing to plummet. You can see those grid fins working away, helping to keep Falcon 9 oriented in the correct direction. The deluge system active on the surface of the drone ship, and here she comes.
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
And there we go. Successful touchdown of booster B1080, now -22, now having completed its 21st flight successfully. Magnificent. And we can see the MVAC on Falcon 9's upper stage continuing to fire for just a few more seconds as typical with these Starlink missions. And there we go. Seco number 1, second engine cutoff number 1. There will be a second burn in about 40-ish minutes, but SpaceX's coverage will cease before then. And wow, already into replays, Carson? I think he's getting pretty good at this, guys. And there we can see Falcon 9. This is from our fleet cam, which is based at the restaurant Rusty's in the port being Port Canaveral. And those cranes you can see off to the left-hand side of your screen, those are on that big old boat right there, which is going to be delivering another mobile crane there, which is used to service Falcon 9 first stages off of their drone ships in Port Canaveral. But obviously, in the center of your screen there, we can see the very Falcon 9 rocket that just launched a few moments ago, lighting up the night sky after a rather stormy early morning here in Central Florida. Certainly not something any of us here tonight were expecting to see. I think that much we can say.
Yeah, I didn't think we were getting a launch tonight, but it all cleared. All of a sudden, it started to clear pretty quickly, and then they got it launched, and pretty good track too, because like all the clouds cleared out, so we actually got to see the thing.
And SpaceX certainly seized that opportunity as well. And this is from our fleet cam number 2, punched in all the way from the same perspective, although looking over just a few hedges there at Port Canaveral. And we can see it rising there through the screen. Falcon 9 turning night into almost day. It's like a pseudo man-made sunrise, as we often say. And this is from one of our robot cameras based here at the hut at the Kennedy Space Center. It's so bright. Cameras do not do it justice just how bright any solid rocket booster exhaust is, or any exhaust from a Keralox powered series of engines are. It is like looking at the sun. It is genuinely one of the most weird and wild experiences watching a launch of Falcon 9 or perhaps Atlas V at night, with how well it lights up the surrounding areas wherever you are, especially if you're closer to the launch pad.
It's always really, really cool to see the different exhausts and what they do. Like the spotlight effect from the BE4s was.
Yes.
We say it again and again and again, and always. I cannot wait to see a super heavy launch, or even for that matter, a catch burn at night. That
Or how about just a full blown launch?
We won't see it at Boca because they're not allowed to catch at night. We'd have to wait till KSC is operational, so probably not till fall of next year is what I would expect. Fall winter of next year is when we might see a catch at KSC. But I can't wait to see a night launch on one of those. I really can't wait.
I mean, we all saw how the exhaust looked from these 7 BE4s on New Glenn back in January, and the incredible spotlight effect that had on the ground. And now imagine 33 Raptors that also burn methane. And I think you can imagine how that might look at night. And we can't freaking wait.
Like a super heavy size spotlight effect?
Maybe.
Like it just shines the whole pad up. Like
it doesn't burn as bright as RP1 or solid rocket boosters do, and certainly not as bright as Falcon 9, as you can see here from these last couple of replays, where there is no real spotlight effect because just of the leftover combustion of the exhaust leaving the nozzles of all 9 Merlin engines. That already burns bright enough to light up everything else around it. So, ooh. Is this a still from the end of the field? Wow. Okay, so what you're looking at here is, of course, the 28 Starlink V2 mini satellites heading off towards the horizon there, and what you're looking at there is the sun approaching the east coast of the United States. It is just over the horizon there, just over on the right-hand side of your screen. If it had just launched maybe an hour and change later, I believe there would be a big old jellyfish, at least in the second stage of flight, especially for those in perhaps like Virginia or Pennsylvania or even New York or New Jersey, as we have seen before. But it is heading in towards the sunlight, and if it hasn't gotten there already because orbital velocities. And I believe we have one more replay coming here from D. It is, of course, D's famous slow-mo footage, but I want to hit some support here before we wrap up. I think we still have some time before that happens. So first, I want to hit this $20 super chat from XD9 coming in saying, thanks for these late-night streams and those awesome camera shots. Dude, it is our pleasure. Genuinely, we love doing this every time. We keep coming back because y'all keep showing up, and that is really just how it goes. We are incredibly lucky to be here, both here at the Kennedy Space Center as well as Starbase as well for our teams down there. And it is a remarkable privilege to be able to bring you guys these feeds and share these moments with you. We do not take it for granted, and we are just super grateful for all of your support. And I sound like a bit of a broken record whenever I go into support like this, but it really does mean the world. It really does. So thank you guys very much. I know it is a very, very early morning for a lot of you. So thank you very much for coming to hang out. Also, with Chris Richter becoming a PadRet member as well, closing out the support for this stream. Y'all are just incredible. I know it's late. I want to thank you guys for coming to hang out with us tonight. And I also want to thank Ryan Weber for coming on and being on commentary for tonight's mission.
Yeah, it's always fun to do other stuff other than Starship, even though that's what I mostly do. But, Falcon 9's still fun.
Falcon 9 is indeed still fun, and I think D-Wise out in the field would agree with us. Don't believe D's on comms, but I'm sure that would be a rather well agreed upon fact. Also, behind the scenes, pushing the buttons and pulling the levers, as I often forget to thank him, is the one and only Carson, making the stream do stream things, making all these pixels appear on everybody's screens. My name is Max Evans. I am a spaceflight photographer here at NSF, and I have been your host for tonight's stream, and we will begin to play out with Dee's fantastic slow-mo footage from tonight's mission. Thanks, everybody. Also, really fast to hear from Revhead gifting 20 pounds right at the end of the stream. So thank you very much, Revhead. We greatly appreciate it.
And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be normal.
RS-68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, with planet.
Water towers fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Fighting down to SPD off. Say again, SPD off. Off. It's orange!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Décollage. Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be ignited